Hi there! Welcome to Pallet University. So, unless you've been living under a rock for the last week to, half a week or so, you've probably noticed that the second part of the DLC for Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, the Crown Tundra, has released. And that's all I was talking about because I personally think it's way, way better than the Isle of Armor. And I actually enjoy the Isle of Armor, but this one blows it way out of the water. There's just more to do. There's several storylines as opposed to just the one, and then a couple extra tasks that you need to do. The environment, obviously less colorful because it's a tundra, which is actually another video coming out later in the week where I tell you that it's not actually a tundra. So keep an eye out for that. But, so, even though it's a tundra and not as vibrant and colorful as sort of the Isle of Armor, which seems temperate to subtropical, the environment just felt a lot more flushed out, and maybe it's because the region of the Crown Tundra is bigger, seemingly, that it just feels more flushed out, and maybe it's because there's a lot less water, kind of a Gen 3 reference there, in that so much water, so many different water environments in the Isle of Armor sort of makes it feel almost like there's no difference between each of them, even though there's, I think, 3 or 4 of them. Whereas the Crown Tundra is almost all terrestrial except for one that is about mostly, I would say, like water-based. So I actually streamed at least the first like 6 to 7 hours of me playing through the Crown Tundra. So those VODs are in a playlist on the channel where all of our stream VODs are. So please, take a look at those to sort of get a reference for what I'm talking about. But sort of as I was playing through, both myself and some of the viewers that were watching with me noticed a lot of just weird things about the Crown Tundra itself, and also just the Pokemon that live there. And one of the main things is that you can find fossil Pokemon just around. There's a version exclusive one in that if you're playing Shield, you can find Kabuto and Kabutops, whereas if you're playing Sword, you can find Omanyte and Omastar, but they occur in the same places, and other than that, all the other fossil Pokemon are available to encounter in the wild. And this was really confusing to me because they're extinct, with one notable exception. They say pretty frequently in Kabuto's Pokedex entries that while this Pokemon was thought to have been extinct, you can find them rarely in some places, and so I would totally buy that the Crown Tundra is just one of those places. That's believable because we have the pre-context of being able to find Kabuto in modern environments from previous games. We just have never been able to do it. So why then can you find all of these other fossil Pokemon just in the wild in the Crown Tundra? And it gets even weirder when you look at the Pokedex. The Pokedex seems to sort of contradict itself between the two versions for a lot of these fossils. In one version, it will use verbs in the past tense. So for example, Kabutops' entry from Pokemon Shield uses past tense verbs, whereas the one from Shield uses present tense verbs. So which is it? Did it used to do these things, or does it currently do these things because it is still alive? And this lack of consistency is just really bothering me. And while we were talking about this during the stream, I wish I could remember which viewer said this. If you watch the stream back, somebody will bring it up, I believe it's in the second stream. But they basically bring up, maybe somebody, revived a bunch of fossil Pokemon and then just released them, sort of Jurassic Park The Lost World style, where they're, all of the dinosaurs are out on this island where there's really not people, and they just let them be in an environment to themselves. So, in the moment I was like, maybe. I mean, there's not really any evidence for that, but I mean, I could see it happening, I guess. But there actually is evidence for it. Omanyte's Pokedex entry from Pokemon Sword says, because some Omanyte either escaped or were released, they have become numerous in the environment, and they're actually becoming kind of a nuisance because there are so many of them. Which absolutely would happen. It's basically at this point an invasive species, because the current predators in the environment are kind of like, I don't know what that is. Is that food? Do I eat that? And so they might not be as willing to eat it as they would be their normal prey that they would normally see in their environment. And also, Omanyte and Omastar are known to be carnivorous, so they're eating things that aren't adapted to deal with them, escaping them. So that is basically how invasive species work. So are all of these fossil Pokemon just invasive species that were reintroduced into this environment? Given that we have that context with Omanite, I would say that's probably the most likely answer. I would, and I mentioned this in the stream as well, I would love if Game Freak would just take the 2 seconds that it takes to put in some NPC somewhere, whether it's one of the old people in Freezington, or whether it's just some line that somebody in the Dynamax Adventures place says, where they say explicitly, man, all these fossil Pokemon being here is weird, but, you know, they were reintroduced by the scientists, so I guess we just have to live with them, or something along those lines. Just, it could be 2 lines of text, 2 lines of dialogue that confirm that that is the case. It really does not take that long to do. You don't even have to make a new model. You know, you just reuse, you know, a different model that's already there. Like I said, or you could just add that as one of the text options for one of the old people in Freezington. It's not that hard, and it would really help a lot of the lore that people love with Pokemon. And I feel like that's one of the most valid critiques of Game Freak, is that they just do things without giving a reason. And, you know, so the lore people or scientific type people like myself look for a reason in this, and they just don't give us one. There's also another aspect that could be sort of going on here, in that sort of ignoring that Omanite Pokedex entry. The Crown Tundra sort of seems to me to be a very obvious reference to sort of the Journey to the Center of the Earth type setting, or at least some of the themes held in that, you know, classic book. And I'm pretty sure it was written by a British author, so I guess it being part of Galar makes sense. If you're not familiar, basically the story is set in this world where, like, the Earth is actually sort of hollow, and beneath the surface of the Earth there's this, you know, world that time forgot, where there's dinosaurs and all these different, you know, giant extinct things that, you know, were extinct on, you know, the surface, but were not extinct down beneath the surface. And I feel like between all of the dinosaur and extinct and fossil Pokemon being so prevalent in this area, because they're kind of everywhere, it's not like there's just 1 or 2 of them. You know, there are multiple Tyrantrum, which ecologically just doesn't make sense for there to be, you know, I think there's 4? I want to say there's 4. There's at least 3, but I think there's 4, like, static Tyrantrums that sort of respawn, you know, similar to any other, you know, weather-changing static Pokemon in the wild area. And ecologically, in that small of an area, because they only inhabit sort of the southern part, which is not sort of tundra-y, they basically, there's 4 of them in that area, and that is way too small of an area to support 4 animals that large that are carnivorous. So, I don't know. But regardless, Tyrunt just spawn in the grass, and there's literally endless Tyrunt in this area. So it's not like there's just one of them. This is a population living here that is breeding here. And on top of all of these ancient Pokemon being just in the environment, the Dynamax lair is in my opinion, a very, very clear reference to that, because you literally go underground and you journey through all these tunnels to get to these giant, mythical, legendary Pokemon. Granted, I know there are no mythical Pokemon that you can find through it, but you get my point. Yeah, I kind of wanted to just talk about it because it just kind of bugs me that without any sort of context other than this one Pokedex entry that only applies to Omanite, seemingly, and Omastar, obviously, because it evolves. But, you know, there's no reason that these should be here. I don't think that there's any sort of reference at the beginning of when you first get there that's like this land that time forgot. You know, maybe the mayor in Freezington says it, but, like, I really don't remember it. So somebody let me know down in the comments if that is the case. If something like that is said and I'm just ranting about nothing, please let me know. Anyway, me ranting aside, like I said, I actually really, really enjoy the Crown Tundra, and it actually gives me something interesting to stream besides VGC, which I personally really like, but now I can do shiny hunting because I actually really enjoy doing the Dynamax Adventures and shiny hunting that way. So keep an eye out for streams coming, doing that kind of thing. I'm hoping to do one on Wednesday, definitely on Friday or Saturday as well, so hopefully 2 streams this week. as well as, like I said, I have another video coming out later in the week where I actually say it's not the Crown Tundra, it is a different kind of environment. So let me know your thoughts on what kind of environment that might be down in the comments below as well. While you're down there, please don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe, and also check out all of the links down in the description. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Pallet_U to keep up on all things Pokemon science. Make sure to check out our Patreon link if you are so inclined down in the description as well. It really helps creators out and really helps us, you know, stick with doing what we love throughout all of these trying times in the world right now. Also, massive shout out to our first patron, Patty Murphy. Your support, as always, is appreciated, and I loved hanging out with you on the stream over the weekend. Staying up until like 3 a.m. is a little questionable, but it was a weekend, so thanks again for watching, and as always, there's a time and place for everything.